Room 220 is where a long-term resident known in staff accounts as the Meat Man
Ew, I don't like that.
I know, allegedly hung raw meat from the chandelier.
Ew.
Gross. When he died, his body wasn't found for days. Can you imagine the hellish scene when they found him days later? It's disgusting.
So gross.
Welcome to this episode of the You Two Scare Me podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Felice.
And I'm Andy, and we are coming to you from Key West, Florida.
If this is your first time tuning in, or if you forgot what we do here, hey, we're just two spooky girls who love to hear and tell stories about ghosts, UFOs, cryptids, etc., etc.
But don't worry, we respect the forces that make things go bump in the night, and we know to keep a safe distance.
Absolutely. We are fully aware that we don't know anything or really understand what's happening with anything in this realm.
Yes. But it's okay, we promise. We laugh and keep it light as we work our way through the strange and unusual. We hope to bring you stories that make you question and give you a chill.
A quick warning before we begin. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Our tales are drawn from folklore, history, and reported experiences, but we don't claim them as fact. Some stories may include sensitive topics, so listener discretion is advised.
Dive into the shadows with us as we bring you haunting tales in this episode of the You Two Scare Me podcast.
Shall we dive in? Okay. Route 66 runs 2,400 miles from Chicago to Los Angeles, threading through 8 states, across deserts and riverbeds and mountain passes and little towns the interstate forgot. They wrote songs about it, made movies about it, called it the Mother Road and the Main Street of America, and what they left out of all of it is what happens after dark.
Dun, dun, dun.
We start in St. Louis, and if you're going to start a haunted road trip anywhere, starting it in a Victorian mansion where 4 members of the same family shot themselves over the course of 45 years is a solid choice.
Oh,
don't you agree?
Sure. Really uplifting.
Yes. The Lemp Mansion sits in South St. Louis, and before it was one of the most documented haunted houses in America, it was the home of the most powerful brewing family in the city. At their peak, the Lemps were one of the top 10 breweries in the country. They had tunnels running from the house to the brewery beneath the city.
Oh.
They had money, influence, and a reputation that filled every room they walked into. They were fancy-dancy.
I like those tunnels. I want that.
And then the Prohibition came and took all of it. Womp womp.
Fun haters.
Yep. The tragedy started with Frederick Lemp, the family heir, dying of heart failure at 28. His father, William Lemp Sr., never recovered from losing him. In 1904, William Sr. shot himself in the bedroom with no warning and no note.
Oh.
The brewery staggered along until Prohibition finished it off, and William Lemp Jr. auctioned everything the family had built for pennies on the dollar. 2 years later, he shot himself in the same office where his father had died.
Oh.
Same room, father and son, 18 years apart.
That's sad.
Very sad. The house became a boarding house in the 1940s, and the hauntings started being reported almost immediately. Then, in 1949, Charles Lemp became the 4th member of the immediate family to die by suicide. Before he did it, he shot his dog.
Oh.
The note said only, "In case I am found dead, blame it on no one but me." His brother Edwin sold the mansion and left, and people who knew the family always said Edwin lived to 90 because he was the one who had the sense to get out.
Whoa. Okay, let's pause for a second. If you're going to take your own life, what kind of note is "if I am found dead"? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, when you find me.
Yeah. I don't know.
That was a little weird.
Yeah. I don't know if it was just a linguistic difference of the times or I don't know.
Well, I'm glad Edwin got out.
Yeah, me too. There's a 5th figure connected to the house that most people don't know about. Charles kept a young male relative in the attic during his final years, someone with Down syndrome that the family hid from public view, which was tragically common in that era. Oh gosh, it's so horrible. Like, I just have to.
Yeah.
That is horrible. And I understand that it was probably common in those times, but I hate that.
I mean, that's tragic.
Yeah.
And so sad. But yeah, I feel like anytime there was any sort of perceived problem, whatever it may be, whether
Like
it was
pregnancy.
right.
Yes.
Right. Or like a mental health issue or any sort of like physical abnormality or, you know,
That would like bring shame on the family.
right. They were always either hidden or sent away.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's heartbreaking.
I know. It's cruel, actually, you know. Speaking of cruel, this family member was known by a nickname that reflected how cruelly people talked about disability in that era. And he died shortly before Charles took his own life. His spirit is among those reportedly still present in the house.
No.
And visitors have described sounds from the upper floors, cold spots, and the persistent feeling of being watched from above.
Oh. I hate that.
I do too. Life magazine named the Lemp Mansion one of the 10 most haunted houses in America. And that reputation was earned through decades of documented accounts, not marketing. Staff and guests report apparitions that appear and vanish, unexplained knocking, voices with no source, and a figure called the guest at the window.
Oh.
There's also an entity named Oscar, seen repeatedly on the 3rd floor, whose identity nobody has ever confirmed.
What?
But they know to call him Oscar.
Right.
He's like,
Oscar.
he's like in a trash can in Greenbury.
Oh my God. That's a Sesame Street
and grouchy.
reference.
Oh yeah, sorry.
They might be
Old.
really.
Yeah, I'm old. Sesame Street, Oscar the Grouch. Today, the mansion operates as a restaurant and inn. You can have dinner there. You can sleep there. Several rooms are positioned directly adjacent to where the family members died. So go ahead, make us a reservation.
Okay.
Let's
Add it
go.
to the list.
Yeah. It's funny because I had met this lady like a year ago or something, and she was like, I'm going to St. Louis, I'm going to stay at this place. And now when I had forgotten about it, you know, but she was like, it's really haunted, blah blah blah. And when I was doing this research, I was like, the Lemp Mansion, that's the place that lady was telling me about. She was like all into spooky stuff. And we were just kind of getting started when I was talking to her, you know, so I didn't really have my like wits about me. But man, hey,
Yeah.
if you're
Hey, lady.
if you're listening, tell us how it went at the Lemp Mansion. We would love to know. Okay, next on our trip through Route 66, we keep heading west through Missouri, and just north of the route, along the Mississippi River, sits the small town of Louisiana, Missouri.
Oh, that's confusing.
And, yes. Louisiana, Missouri gave the world something the broader cryptid community has almost entirely forgotten.
Yay. This is where I live.
Yes, I know. They call it MOMO, the Missouri Monster. Have you heard of MOMO?
I've heard of Momo, but I don't know much about Momo.
Okay.
So tell me.
On July 11th, 1972, 8-year-old Terry Harrison and his younger brother were playing in the backyard on the edge of the woods. Their 15-year-old sister Doris was inside when she heard them screaming. She looked out the window and saw a creature standing roughly 7 feet tall, covered in matted black fur so thick it covered its face, with a head described as pumpkin-shaped and large, glowing orange eyes.
Ooh.
The creature was standing upright, and it was holding a dead dog, the blood still matted in its fur.
Ew.
Gross. The sightings that followed over the next 2 weeks made national headlines.
Whoa.
More witnesses came forward, all describing the same silhouette, the same terrible smell, the same growl that sounded like a bear crossed with something they couldn't name. Louisiana, Missouri organized a 20-person armed posse to hunt the creature.
It's the neighborhood watch group. Wait, what year was this?
I think 1970, what was it? 1972.
Posse.
They found nothing. The local fire chief, a man with credibility in the community, reported his own encounter, describing the same upright figure caught in his headlights near a creek bed. The tracks that were collected and submitted to the director of the Oklahoma City Zoo came back classified as belonging to an unknown primate species. And then he walked that back and called them a hoax. So even the official conclusion It couldn't make up its mind. During those same weeks, residents were reporting strange lights in the sky above some stretch of the woods where MOMO was being seen. A UFO investigator named Hayden Hughes traveled to the Harrison home and camped in the family's backyard, working the theory that MOMO wasn't a cryptid in the traditional sense, but something with an extraterrestrial origin.
Okay, here I was, here for the cryptids, and we got to turn it alien on me.
Wait.
That's a bait and switch, girl.
Sightings faded by the end of the summer and dropped off almost entirely after that. Skeptics said bear or teenagers. Maybe. But for a creature that was supposedly just a bear or a hoax, it left a very interesting trail behind it. What do you think it was? Alien? Cryptid? Interdimensional being?
Okay, yeah, I'm going with either alien or interdimensional. Especially, so nobody's seen it since?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just a visiting alien. At first I was really excited because I thought it was like, a Bigfoot relative.
Yeah, right, yeah. Nope. I'm always on the team interdimensional being. A tear in the...
Was it eating the dog? Or
I don't know. It just said it had a dead dog that was bloody. So I don't know. Pretty gross, but fascinating.
Well, I don't want to meet that alien.
No.
Add it to my bad alien list.
Yeah, that's not on the nice alien list. If it's all bloody and stinky and matted.
Yeah, no.
No thanks. All right. Still moving west, right at the Missouri-Oklahoma border south of Joplin, there's a stretch of dirt road that locals have been calling the Devil's Promenade for well over a century. And on this road, something appears that nobody has ever fully explained. The Joplin Spook Light, also called the Hornet Spook Light, is an orange ball of light that has been seen bobbing and moving along a 4-mile gravel road near the community of Quapaw, Oklahoma. Witnesses describe it ranging in size from a baseball to a basketball. It dances, it spins, it hovers above the tree line and retreats and disappears. The first written account is from 1881, but local lore holds that Cherokee people observed the light while being forced along the Trail of Tears in 1836. Pushing the history back another 45 years before the earliest recorded account. In 1965, Popular Mechanics sent an investigative team and concluded that the light was caused by distant car headlights on Route 66 refracted across the flat terrain.
Boring.
Also, there were no automobiles on the Trail of Tears, right? This explanation is not unreasonable, but researchers who study this phenomenon point out that it requires cars to exist, and the documented sightings predate the automobile by decades. The light was recognized in this area long before there was a Route 66 to create headlight refraction from. They say the same thing about the Marfa lights. Remember we talked about that on a previous episode in Texas, the Marfa lights.
What was the theory behind the Marfa lights? Like, what was the proposed explanation? I know they said about like cars and stuff, but what were we thinking was going on?
I think we were thinking UFOs.
Oh, okay. But I was wondering if these aren't nature spirits, right? Kind of like fairies or, something like that. Because, when we've talked about in Ireland, the fae, and a lot of times the lights signaling their presence or that is them, how they appear. Yeah,
maybe so. Witnesses who have seen it describe it charging toward them, splitting into multiple lights and reassembling, and in some accounts responding to their presence. It became a genuine tourist attraction in the 1950s and 60s, with people coming out on summer nights to wait for it on the hoods of their cars.
Those summer nights.
The interstate eventually bypassed the area and people stopped making the trip, but the light kept appearing anyway. I have a couple of first-hand reports of Joplin lights.
Okay.
The first one was submitted to Legends of America in October 2023 by a Joplin area resident named Wren Hunter. She and her mother started going to the Devil's Promenade in 2020 and went roughly 20 times between 2020 and 2023.
They're into it.
In 2021, they brought a family member who had never been. They parked, turned off the car, flashed the headlights 3 times, and waited. About 15 minutes later, 2 bright white lights with a yellow glow appeared down the road. They waited another 5 minutes for a car that never came. No vehicle ever appeared. So here's another one. Submitted to Haunted Places by an anonymous college student from Miami, Oklahoma.
Oh.
She described watching the light move back and forth at the end of the road repeatedly over multiple visits. Sometimes getting close enough that she thought it was going to touch her car. She tried debunking it herself, drove in every direction on surrounding roads while a friend stayed on Spook Light Road with a phone flashing her own headlights to see if she could recreate the effect. She couldn't match it. She also described the light being different colors on different nights, not just orange. Very spooky.
Yeah, I think it's the Fae.
I actually looked this up to see if we could go there during our summer trip to Eureka Springs, but it's a few hours away. So maybe if we're like having a slow day, but I think we have...
That's a big commitment for some lights.
Yeah. I think we have a lot going on for our trip. But that's kind of like, I like the kind of ghost light.
I like that too.
Idea, you know.
It doesn't seem super scary, you know, but it's definitely one where you're like, oh my gosh, I see it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
yeah. For sure. It's a fun community activity.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously those people went back 20 some times.
Yeah.
Like they're into it. Right?
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Next, we push on to Oklahoma City into one of the strangest haunted hotel stories on the entire route, because it's equal parts tragedy, legend, and a genuinely weird sports controversy. We love a good sports controversy. The Skirvin opened in 1911, built by oil tycoon W.B. Skirvin. I feel like all oil tycoons have like two initials and then a weird last name.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You don't have a middle name. You couldn't. You just...
I know.
F. Andrews.
F. Andrews. I know. I can never be an oil tycoon, it turns out, I guess. Oh, well. Something else in my future. The Skirvin was designed to be the finest hotel in the Southwest. It attracted dignitaries, hosted Prohibition-era speakeasy activity in its back rooms, and became a landmark. Then it closed in 1988 and sat empty for nearly 20 years before a major renovation reopened it in 2007 as the Skirvin Hilton. Oh. The ghost attached to the hotel is a woman named Effie. And here's where I want to be honest with you. Researchers have found...
Please do.
Researchers have found no historical evidence that Effie existed. No records, documentation. The story is likely a piece of urban folklore that calcified into legend through sheer repetition. But the legend is potent enough that it's worth telling, and the activity reported in the hotel is real, whether or not Effie's the explanation for it. So.
Okay. So there's stuff going on. We just don't know if it's
We just don't know if it's Effie.
Okay.
The legend goes that W.B. Skirvin had an affair with a maid. When she became pregnant, he locked her in a room on the 10th floor to avoid a scandal.
Oh my gosh.
She gave birth there, isolated and imprisoned, and eventually in despair threw herself and her infant from the window.
Oh.
Guests have reported hearing a baby crying with no source. Male guests in particular describe being propositioned by a female voice while alone in their rooms.
Ooh.
Others have reported seeing the apparition of a woman in the shower with them. They wish. The 10th floor is considered the most active part of the building, and room 1015 is widely believed to be the room where Effie was confined. And then there are the NBA players.
Oh, this took a turn.
The Skirvin became the hotel where visiting teams stayed when playing the Oklahoma City Thunder. And at some point, it developed a reputation in the league as a place where players did not sleep. The New York Knicks openly blamed a 2010 loss to the Thunder on a sleepless, haunted night at the hotel.
I love it.
The Chicago Bulls reported doors slamming on their own. Lakers player Metta World Peace claimed a ghost touched him. The phrase Skirvin Hex entered the vocabulary of NBA Twitter, and at this point, the hotel's paranormal reputation has been covered by the New York Times as a legitimate factor in opposing teams' performance.
Oh, how funny.
Isn't
I love
that
it.
Crazy. They're like, we're for the home team.
They're like, they may only stay in the Skirvin Hotel.
Yes.
Ever.
Ever. And we will torment them so they lose. It's kind of funny, right?
It is funny.
It's just sad. If that story is true about Effie or whoever that was, that's very sad.
That is very sad.
But
my mother-in-law would say, this doesn't sound like it's up to Hilton standards.
Oh, that's right. I don't know. I mean, even Hilton people love a little spooky paranormal thing sometimes.
I guess so.
Wow.
That's fun.
Whether Effie is real history or invented legend, and whatever is happening in that hotel has been rattling professional athletes for 15 years. Something's definitely happening there. I love it.
I love the superstitions that go along with sports and things.
Me too.
But can you imagine, though, these giant men, right?
Yeah, they're like
7 feet tall, right?
Yeah.
And they're both like, what was that?
We can't play. We got no sleep. I love it. All right, here we go. Let's keep going. Next, we drop south into New Mexico. This is where the road itself becomes the story. Get ready. This one's spooky. Route 666 got its name for a completely mundane reason. It was the sixth spur of Route 66. That's the whole origin. But 193 miles of isolated desert highway with a number that every Christian denomination associates with the Antichrist turned out to be a bit of a problem. The road was nicknamed the Devil's Highway almost immediately. The signs were stolen so constantly that it became a public safety issue. The New Mexico stretch developed a high fatality rate, and the combination of the cursed name, the deaths, and accumulating paranormal reports created a reputation so severe that Arizona changed their portion of the road in 1995, and New Mexico renamed it Route 491 in 2003.
Oh.
Officially, Route 666 no longer exists, but the stories did not get the memo. Across all 4 states, the most commonly reported phenomenon is a woman in a white nightgown standing alone on the shoulder of the road. Drivers stop to help. She vanishes. Some accounts describe her reappearing further down the same road as if she's somehow traveling alongside the car, which separates this from a standard phantom hitchhiker story in a way that's hard to rationalize away. Then there are the hellhounds.
Wait, can we pause for a second?
Okay.
I'm realizing that I am woefully missing a white nightgown from my sleep wardrobe. And so when I'm a ghost, what the heck am I going to wear?
You're probably going to be wearing yoga pants and a ghost shirt.
You Two Scare Me podcast shirt?
Yeah. If I had to make a guess. Yoga pants for sure, though.
Oh my gosh. That's funny.
Yeah.
We saw her and she had on yoga pants in a You Two Scare Me podcast. Our research
spooky.
revealed that this was a semi-popular
Indie podcast.
Yeah. This was a very successful podcast in the 2020s.
Yes. Wow. All right. Are you ready for the hellhounds?
Okay, I'm
now?
sorry.
The hellhounds reported out of the Utah stretch. Packs of dogs with glowing yellow eyes that pursue vehicles at speed, running fast enough to keep pace with a moving car, using their teeth on the tires before disappearing.
Oh, man.
The highway cuts directly through the Navajo Nation territory.
Oh.
I want to be careful here because what I'm about to describe isn't just a spooky story to the people whose land this road was built across. So we've talked about this several times, right, in earlier episodes. So Andy told us before that the Navajo understanding of skinwalkers or flesh, we like to call them flesh pedestrians, describes them as people who traded their humanity for power. They're shapeshifters capable of taking animal form, mimicking human voices, and causing harm to those who encounter them. To name them in Navajo belief is to potentially invite their attention, which is why some people use the term flesh pedestrians. So that was just a recap. We have a whole episode on that.
Yeah, go check it out.
Yeah. What travelers on Route 666 have reported for decades is consistent with those descriptions. Coyotes moving upright, deer with human eyes, figures keeping pace with moving vehicles before dropping to all fours and vanishing.
No.
Truckers have described a man running alongside their rigs at highway speed before collapsing into the form of a black dog and disappearing into the desert.
I have chills. I don't like those.
I know. The practical explanation for the high fatality rate is real. The New Mexico stretch was poorly constructed, too narrow, too many sharp curves for its traffic volume, and deaths dropped significantly after infrastructure improvements followed the renaming. So maybe it was just a bad road, or maybe a bad road was built through land that was already carrying something old and uninterested in being driven through.
Ding, ding, ding.
I know. I actually went on this road one time. I was on this road trip. it was, I don't know. I don't need to get into the whole details of this thing. But anyway, I was with this guy. We were just friends, and we both had to get back to our army base, and our other people that were supposed to be in our caravan, that fell through, right? So that's like a whole story for a different day. But so we went through, we like had the best road trip ever. But this kid was very into Marilyn Manson, and he taught me all about Marilyn Manson. If you don't know about Marilyn Manson, it's from the 90s. You're going to have to look it up. I can't tell you all about that. But anyway, so.
That's a different rabbit hole.
Yeah. Anyway, he was like, I really need a picture by the Route 66 sign. And I was like scandalized. I'm like, okay, so drive his old like
little
jalopy car,
Your like disposable camera.
Disposable camera. Oh my gosh, so funny. The other thing is that his car had a cassette player, but we just had our giant CD collection, So we start traveling, and we stopped at a gas station, and we got the Romeo and Juliet soundtrack with with Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes. The soundtrack is excellent, by the way. So we listened to that for like several hundred miles. That was our only cassette, and that was all they had at the truck stop, And then we stopped for the night, and we took turns. We took shifts making mixtapes from our CDs so that we had music to listen to, because there's like no radio stations out in the desert. You know what I mean? So we were dedicated to having some music on our trip.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cute.
And I learned all about Marilyn Manson.
Wow.
And he probably learned all about Jewel and Alanis Morissette. So anyway, what a great memory of Route 666. It was mostly the highway. Like we were on I-40, but we took a little jaunt, I guess, on that one road. Yeah.
Wow.
Very interesting.
What a life you've lived.
You have no idea. You have had no idea. All right, let's go to Flagstaff, which manages to be both a college town and one of the most paranormally active places on this entire stretch of the route. There are 2 stops here, and we're going to give them both what they deserve. The first one is still open. It's a country music bar called the Museum Club, and locals have called it the zoo since it opened. In 1931, a taxidermist named Dean Eldridge built what he claimed was the largest log cabin in Arizona and filled it with his life's collection, stuffed animals.
Oh.
Not like plushies. We're talking about real animals.
Taxidermy.
Yeah, taxidermy. Yes. So there was a 6-legged sheep, 2-headed calves, 30,000 oddities from decades of obsessive collecting.
30,000?
Yeah. That's a lot.
I'm creeped out.
I know. He ran it as a museum and trading post until his death. In 1963, a steel guitarist named Don Scott bought it. Scott had played with Bob Wills and the Texas Playboys, and he knew everybody. He turned the Museum Club into a country music destination and started booking his contacts. Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings, Wanda Jackson, and Barbara Mandrell.
Wow.
Aspiring artists making the drive from Nashville to Las Vegas stopped in and played. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Don and Thorna Scott lived in the apartment above the club. It was their whole life. In 1973, Thorna fell down the stairs leading to the apartment, broke her neck, lapsed into a coma, and never came back from it. Don closed the bar one night shortly after, sat down in a rocking chair in front of the fireplace, and shot himself.
Oh, no.
After the club was sold in 1978, an excellent year, by the way, a musician returning early one morning to retrieve something he'd left behind found a fire blazing in the fireplace and a rocking chair moving on its own with nobody in it. Patrons and staff over the decades have reported a woman appearing near the bar who vanishes when spoken to, a cowboy figure standing by the fireplace, your favorite, and a disembodied female voice asking if you finished your drink. Here's an interesting detail, though. Multiple people independently across many years described the woman near the bar as blonde. Thorna Scott was a brunette. The museum club's current owner has pointed this out directly. Dawn and Thorna's daughter is certain her parents are still in that building, but the blonde woman, nobody knows who she is.
Oh.
She's been standing near the bar for over 50 years, and she's never once been identified.
Weird.
Maybe it's just somebody who really loved that place, you know? I mean, it seems like a lot of interesting characters came through there.
Right. It's just some unnamed waitress or somebody.
Yeah,
right?
or a patron that just, a barfly.
Yeah, I mean.
Still in Flagstaff, sitting right on the Route 66 downtown, is the Hotel Monte Vista. The Monte Vista opened in 1927 with the public funding after the town voted to have a proper hotel for the city on a major cross-country highway. Over the decades, it attracted travelers, gamblers, Hollywood names, and during Prohibition, speakeasy activity in the basement. Seems like Route 66 was popular during Prohibition.
I think anywhere where you could hide, something like hotels always.
Yeah. And they were using that travel route, to get it from place to place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a time to be alive.
What a time. What a time to be alive. So there was speakeasy activity in the basement. The haunting here consists of many stories, all coexisting in the same building, which is part of what makes it one of the more interesting places on the route. Room 210, the Zane Grey Room, is where guests report hearing a knock at the door in the middle of the night, followed by a voice from the hallway saying, "Room service."
Not now, Zane.
When the door opens, nobody's there. John Wayne experienced this during his stay and reported it to the staff next morning.
No way. That's cool.
They told him he wasn't the first. That's pretty crazy, right?
That's awesome.
Room 220 is where a long-term resident known in staff accounts as the Meat Man
Ew. I don't like that.
I know. Allegedly hung raw meat from the chandelier.
Ew.
Gross.
That would stink.
What was that? Ugh. When he died, his body wasn't found for days. After that, guests in the room reported unexplained coughing, voices, laughter, televisions turning on by themselves, and the sustained feeling of being watched. I mean, can you imagine like the hellish scene when they found him days later? And what about his meat hanging from the chandeliers?
Does anybody report the smell of meat?
Ugh, I don't know. It's disgusting.
So gross.
And why is he laughing into watching TV in his spirit form? What a weirdo. This guy's a weirdo.
I feel like that's just like maybe that is the, like a replay, right? Like just maybe he was always watching TV and laughing, like
maybe
that's just
so, yeah.
But I don't, what is the meat about?
I don't know.
I don't like
it's pretty gross. Room 306 is where hotel lore says 2 women were murdered in the 1940s and thrown from the window. Male guests in particular have reported nightmares, pressure on the chest, and what they describe as hostility coming from the room itself.
Well, I get that. All right.
There's an anger in the accounts from 306 that isn't present in the other haunted rooms, which tend to feel more neutral or even playful. But I wonder if it's only towards men.
Yeah.
It said that men reported it.
Right.
I mean, can we blame them? Just kidding. And then there's the basement, where staff and visitors going back decades have reported hearing a baby crying, accompanied by a woman sobbing nearby.
Oh.
There's no verified historical incident attached to this one. No records. It's just a baby crying in a basement with no explanation, and it keeps being heard.
Oh.
That's sad, but
it's sad.
Also super creepy.
Wouldn't you freak out if you were like...
Yeah. The Monte Vista knows what it has. Their own website invites guests to ask staff about paranormal experiences. Clark Gable stayed there, Gary Cooper, Humphrey Bogart, Ava Gardner. People passed through this building for almost 100 years and left something of themselves in the rooms. Old buildings on old roads have a way of holding things, and the Monte Vista has been holding things for a very long time. That's kind of cool. That seems like a good one to go visit.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I mean, and it seems like... I always appreciate, too, when there's a haunted hotel and the staff recognize.
Yeah.
And not celebrate, but, they don't just dismiss people's reports and accounts. And they're like, actually, yes. And actually, this is what we've experienced and things like that, They're honoring people's experiences.
Absolutely. And in today's economy, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Right? If I had a haunted hotel, you better believe I'd be like, if you like spooky things, come stay in room 506.
And if you don't, stay in one of the other rooms.
Yeah, exactly.
They won't bother you there.
Route 66 has been collecting stories since 1926, and it's nowhere close to being done. Every one of these places is still out there, still open in most places, still being reported on by people who drove through and couldn't explain what they saw. Maybe there's a reason people have been calling it the Mother Road for 100 years. Some mothers just never stop watching over what's theirs.
Ooh, that was a spooky last line.
Yeah.
Oh, I like it. There are a lot of good stops. So this Route 66 runs like east to west or west to east, whatever, across.
Yeah.
Where does it start at? Do you know?
Well, we started in St. Louis.
Right.
So I don't know if that's the beginning of it, but
I wonder if there is some sort of ley line or something that runs near it to,
Ooh, that's a good question. Yeah.
with the, if you don't know what ley lines are, so there's an idea that there are these energetic lines that kind of crisscross the earth. And then typically what people say is that there's more paranormal activity that happens along those lines, whether it's UFO sightings or hauntings or things like that. It's just a hot spot.
A hot spot. Well, Route 66 is definitely a hot spot.
So
and
many
it's
hot
like
spots.
I chose Route 66 because it's summertime road trip vibe,
I love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Felice. Are you ready for Somebody Told Me?
I'm so ready.
Okay. So this is just a little story,
Okay.
but it's a little different than some of the other ones that we've heard. And I actually just got this story yesterday.
Okay.
Okay. So I was at a 4th of July party and somebody asked about our podcast and I was showing him how to listen to our podcast. If you don't listen on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or something like that, you can listen right on our website. So I was showing him that. Okay. So this is my friend's husband and his name is Alex. And I was like, well, do you have any spooky experience? He's like, oh, actually, I do.
Oh.
And I said, okay, great. So Alex was a teenager in the early 2000s. He said he was about 16 or 17. And it was their last couple months living in the apartment before they were moving to a house. He and his mom, and I don't know if he had siblings or not. And so he said, he's there, and keep in mind, actually, this is the late 90s. It's the late 90s. Okay.
Okay.
And he's like, I had a boombox. Do you know what a boombox is? I was like, I do.
Yeah.
And so he proceeded to describe his Sanyo boombox.
Okay.
And he was like, it had the 2 speakers and it had the tape deck and, and the name. And so he said he was just kind of laying on his bed, just looking at it, trying to sleep. And he kept looking at the name on it, the brand name, And next thing he knows, he's standing, looking at himself, looking at the boombox.
Yeah.
And he's like, what the heck is going on? He's freaking out. And so he's moving around the room and he can see himself the entire time.
Whoa.
And I said, could you feel anything? And he was like, no, I couldn't feel any. I said, could you feel the floor under you? Could you feel sensations? He said he couldn't feel anything. But he said that he just couldn't figure out what was going on. He was freaking out because he could see his body. And then all of a sudden he said there was just like a thwap, on his chest, and he woke up in his body.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that wild?
Did he find out, was he sick or?
No, nothing. He said it was just.
His consciousness left his body.
Yeah, out of body experience.
Whoa. Oh my gosh. That's crazy.
Isn't it?
That reminds me of that guy, the motorcycle guy.
Right?
From one of our episodes a long time ago
early
at the beginning.
Yeah.
This guy was saying that he and his friends were doing this motorcycle ride and then they were out of their body and could see themselves riding. Well, they matched their stories later, right?
Yeah.
Is that what happened?
They saw it.
They saw themselves riding the bikes and they were above their bikes.
Right.
That's crazy.
So weird. But he said it was the most random thing. And he just remembers all of those little details really clearly. The boombox, when it was, all of these things, so mundane. And then
but he felt like a physical feeling when he came back into himself.
He said he felt like a big boom, on his chest. And
whoa. That's crazy.
I know.
Whoa.
Thanks, Alex.
Yeah, thanks. That's one of those things that just happens to people. You don't request it or,
Right.
or.
But why?
He was just sitting there doing nothing.
Right. He was literally just being a teenager.
Wow. Ooh, thanks for sharing that.
Wild. I don't know. I'm
That's
so
crazy.
intrigued by that, though, because we hear about people who have out-of-body experiences or leave their body when there's a trauma, right?
Yeah.
But there also are these people who observe themselves doing
nothing.
regular things,
Yeah. Remember I told you that Bill said something about that at work, that he was just someone asked him a question and then he started answering this question, but then he was like, I felt like I was outside of myself. Like I didn't even know the answer to that question, but I was watching myself answer a question that I didn't even know that I had the answer to. He's like, it was so weird. I'm like oh
what happens? I
don't know.
I have so many questions. I'm just like, what happens at that moment? And did you ever see the Pixar movie Soul?
Maybe I did. I'm not sure.
I feel like it's been a while since I've seen it, but it always is intriguing to me. But I feel like that there is a part where like the wrong soul goes into the body, and then like they take on that persona, and I'm like, wow, was there a blip? Was there something that happened, and all of a sudden there was another consciousness in that body for a split second?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Weird.
So crazy. Ooh, thanks for sharing that story. That was a good one.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks, Alex. And thank you all for listening to this episode of the You Two Scare Me podcast. Have you checked out our website, you2scaremepodcast.com? You can find blog posts about our episodes and listen to our episodes on the site.
Yes. You could show someone, like if you have an elderly person or someone who's not real sure about technology, you could show them how to do it on their computer.
All of the episodes are right on there. There's also some nice photos of us and a lot of our cool merch. Like there's hats and t-shirts and stickers and all kinds of stuff you can grab.
Listeners, do you like what you hear? Help us reach more ears by sharing the show with your fellow weirdos, subscribing to our YouTube channel, and joining our Patreon. The link is in the show notes, or you can just go to patreon.com and search You Two Scare Me Podcast. Oh, by the way, we have a new Patreon member. Woo-hoo! We gotta shout her out. Let's do it again at the beginning of your episode so that we make sure, because I don't know. Maybe, I don't know if she didn't watch the whole thing. But it's my mom, Diana. Thanks, Mom. Thanks for joining our Patreon.
Aw, thanks for your support, Diana.
Yes, thanks for your lifelong support.
Aw. We're really excited.
Yes.
Thank you. You can also help us by rating, not just you, Diana, but everyone can help us by rating and reviewing us on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Don't forget to check out our social media. Find us on Instagram at you2scareme_podcast, on our Facebook page, You2Scare Me Podcast, or on our TikTok, just search You2Scare Me Podcast. No spaces.
Remember to send us your own spooky stories for our Somebody Told Me segment at you2scaremepodcast@gmail.com. That's YOUTWO scaremepodcast@gmail.com. And they don't have to be super long. They could be little snippets, like an out-of-body experience, or the weird noise you heard in the woods, or the figure you saw on a ghost tour, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, tell us. Thanks for wandering through the shadows with us.
Until next time, stay curious and beware what lurks beyond the light.